The last time my son called me, his mother was still alive. The next time he did, he wanted $50,000. 3 winters sit between those 2 phone calls, long, white, and quiet enough to make a man forget what his own voice sounds like. That kind of quiet doesn't heal you. It just files you down 1 hour at a time. I used to think grief was something that burned and faded. It isn't. It freezes, settles, and stays in the walls. You learn to live around it like furniture too heavy to move. The cabin hasn't changed much. The same stove, the same cracked mug, the same photograph of her smiling in summer light. Only the chair across from me stays empty, like it's waiting for someone who already decided not to come back. Outside, the snow drifts sideways, slow and tired. Inside, the radio claws through static until a carol finds its way through. Silent night. Figures. I let it play. The words don't comfort me. They just sound honest. I feed the stove 2 sticks of pine and wait for the first hiss. The resin catches and climbs into a soft flame that smells of sap and smoke. Christmas Eve. 3 years gone. And tonight, my son is finally calling. I feed the stove 2 sticks of pine and wait for the first hiss. The resin catches and climbs into a soft flame that smells of sap and smoke. The radio on the counter works through its static until a carol finds a signal. The kettle shakes on the iron plate. I pour a mug of coffee and sit at the table, the wood warm from the stove. Outside, the snow drifts past the window like it has nowhere else to go. 3 winters have passed since my son spoke to me. It was not a fight that ended it, not really. Grief just made us choose different ways to love the same woman. At Carol's funeral, he said she should rest by the sea near the school where she once taught. I told him she belonged here under the pines where she read to children and built a life. No shouting. Just a quiet no between 2 men who loved her too much to agree. He left a lavender bouquet on the grave before dawn and drove west. I have not seen him since. The house keeps a memory of her in small ways. The smell of her hand lotion still drifts through the hallway when the heat comes on. Almond and something soft. It never fit the cold here, and somehow it always did. Sometimes I still hear her voice correcting the news anchor, gentle and amused, like she expects the world to do better. The sound fades when I reach for it, like everything else. Mail piles up in the box at the end of the drive. This morning the wind pushed the flag half-open red against the white snow. 4 envelopes and a catalog waited inside. 1 from a Seattle bank. 1 from a law office I never heard of. The rest, the kind of paper that finds you when no one else does. I take them home and open the first one with a butter knife. Numbers I cannot care about line the page all sharp and polite. Near the bottom, my name sits under a date from 2017. A loan I once guaranteed for my son's company. The lawyer told me long ago that my exposure was limited, but that word never meant much to me. The weight is not. The weight goes everywhere a man does. I do not call Nathan. He does not call me. We built a silence that became a habit. Maybe he believes I chose the wrong kind of faith, the kind that keeps a man where he started. Maybe he is right. But out here, the land remembers you when people forget. The day clears. I take the shovel and cut a path down the drive. Work steadies the head. Each scrape of steel against gravel sounds like proof that the world still answers when you move it. When the road is clean, I drive into town for rock salt and lamp oil. The hardware store smells of sawdust and rubber. Earl stands by the seed rack with a paper cup of coffee. He tells me the county may close the creek road again. I tell him it always does. He looks at me a second too long and nods at the envelope sticking out of my jacket pocket. "You should call your boy," he says. Men break when they don't talk. I tell him men break when they talk wrong. "Both are true," he says. Then he leaves me to my cart. At the diner, Bet pours 2 mugs before she remembers. "Habit," she says. I tell her to leave it. Steam looks better in pairs. She leaves it and does not charge me for it. The men at the counter talk about a wolf by the creek. One says the tracks were bigger than his palm. The other says a man's palm gets smaller in the telling. No one laughs. I drink both coffees before I go. On the way home, I stop at the church lot. The plow left a clean lane through the snow. I brush her stone with my glove and set a fresh sprig of lavender in the drift. The granite holds the cold and gives it back. I tell her the stove caught quick that the jay still complains by the feeder. I do not tell her about the letter from the bank. She already knows what she needs to know. The wind shifts, and for a moment I smell her hand lotion again. I stand there until the scent fades. By evening, the sky turns pale silver. I bring the salt and oil inside and top the lamp. The house hums quietly as it warms. I slide the envelope into a folder marked 2017 pencil notes along the edge. Exposure, limited, weight, unlimited. It reads like a joke if you do not know the man who wrote it. I set the folder back and close the drawer. In the bedroom, I open the top dresser drawer and find her gloves. The leather is soft-shaped to her hands. She wore them on drives to town when winter did not like us much. I hold one and press it to my face. The smell of almond still lingers in the lining. I slip it back into place and stand a long moment before closing the drawer. The day folds into night. I pull the chain on the porch lamp and watch it glow from dull to gold. The glass fogs, then clears, breathing like it remembers too. The wind moves down the hill, low and steady. Inside the stove ticks as it cools. I wash the mugs and leave them upside down to dry. I take the sealed envelope from the desk and set it 5 inches from my hand. I do not touch it. The paper catches the light and throws it back at me. The room breathes with the fire. Somewhere down the road, a truck grinds through second gear and fades away. I press my palm against the window glass and feel the cold hold me for a second before it lets go. The porch lamp paints a small circle on the snow just beyond the steps, a place where the dark stops pretending. It used to be her light. Tonight, I let it be mine. I sit back down and listen to the wind move around the house. It sounds like something trying to find its way in or maybe out. The coffee has gone cold, but I drink it anyway. The night settles and the lamp burns on. The lamp had burned itself low, a small pool of gold against the gray morning. I sat up slow, listening to the house breathe in its own quiet way. The air smelled of cold metal and yesterday's coffee. Snow still leaned against the porch rail. The bird tracks from the day before had softened, fading into one another. I filled the kettle and waited for the sound of water meeting heat. The radio hissed, catching bits of voices, a hymn tangled in the static. I let it play that way. Some mornings don't need company, only noise to prove the world is still turning. Outside, Earl's truck passed on the road, tire chains clattering like loose bones. He honked once, 2 short notes that could mean anything. "Hello? I see you, hang on." I raised my hand to the window, though I wasn't sure he saw. By mid-morning, I drove into town for nails and a new set of hinges. The road was half ice, half slush, and the sunlight had that flat, pale quality winter always brings. When I opened the door to the hardware store, a bell rang somewhere in the ceiling. The air was warm and smelled of oil wood dust and something sharp like metal being cut. A young mason leaned on the counter laughing with the clerk. His face had the easy confidence of someone who's never had to defend his pride. When I paid for the hinges, he didn't look up, just said, "Some men. Build some men, borrow names." I counted the bills one by one. My hands were steady. I looked at his clean but trembling just enough to give him away. I wondered who he borrowed his courage from. Then I slid the change into my pocket and left. The wind caught the door behind me and slammed it shut. Out in the lot, the snow had turned to a gray crust, heavy with salt. My boots sank half an inch each step. Earl was leaning against my truck, coffee in one hand, eyes narrowed at the cold. "Call your boy," he said. "Men break when they talk wrong," I told him. He smiled, slow and dry. "Men break when they don't talk at all." "Maybe both are true," I said. He nodded once, pushed off the fender, and walked away. His boots left hard, quick prints in the slush. At the diner, Bet poured me coffee before I sat down. She set 2 mugs on the table by habit 1, where I always sit one across from me. Her hand paused halfway, and she pulled it back like she'd touched something hot. "Habit," she said softly. "Leave it," I told her. "Steam looks better in pairs." She hesitated, then smiled a small, sad smile, and walked away. I looked at the empty chair. The second mug sat untouched, thin steam rising and curling in the air between us. It faded before I finished my first sip. The air felt heavier than it should. The men at the counter were talking about road closures, snow tires a wolf sighted near the creek. Words bounced off the walls like old habits. One of them looked my way, then dropped his eyes. The young mason sat near the door, lunch in a paper bag. He didn't look up, but I could feel him watching, quiet and sure. I finished both coffees, left a few bills under the saucer, and stepped back into the gray light. The road home curved past the church. I slowed, turned in, and parked near the fence. The plow had cleared just enough for a single lane. Snow clung to the markers' soft white mounds that erased the edges of names. I brushed the drift from Carol's headstone, the stone cold against my gloves. I placed a stem of lavender there. Not a prayer, not really. More a promise still worth keeping. The air didn't move. Somewhere in the trees, a crow called once sharp and quick, then stopped. I stayed until my hands went numb. Cold tells the truth in ways people don't. Back home, the house felt smaller. The light from the window turned the room to silver. I set the bag from the hardware store on the table and stood still. At the mailbox, the red flag was up again. Inside one envelope. White, perfect, heavy. The kind of paper that tries to look innocent. Seattle Law Office. Registered mail. I carried it inside, laid it on the counter beside the kettle. Steam rose from the spout, twisting in the light. I didn't open the envelope right away. The hum of the refrigerator and the creak of the rafters filled the silence like breath. Trouble never shows up all at once. It knocks first just to see if you're home. I turned the envelope in my hand, feeling the edge press into my skin. The paper smelled faintly of ink and salt, the kind that never leaves your hands. I laid it next to the old folder marked 2017. They looked like they belonged together. Past and present waiting to be opened. Outside, a plow scraped its way down the hill. The steel against ice sang low and long until the sound became part of the wind. I turned off the kitchen light. Darkness settled easily familiar. The lamp on the porch glowed steady through the window, the color of old honey. For a moment I thought I heard the house breathe quiet and slow, as if someone else was in the room. I stood still, listening. Then I knew the silence had stopped being mine. The house woke before I did. The pipes groaned, the walls settled, and the old stove clicked as if trying to start a conversation. I poured water into the kettle and waited for the sound of it meeting heat. Outside, the light was colorless, the kind of winter light that never commits to being day. I switched on the radio, more for company than news. Static filled the kitchen before a clipped voice broke through steady and cold. Local update from Missoula County. A Seattle-based construction firm under review for irregularities in electronic documents. No arrests, no charges yet. I didn't need to hear the name. But I did. Nathan's firm. The broadcaster said it plainly without emotion, as if the word meant nothing to anyone. I listened for his voice, knowing it wouldn't come. News never sounds like the people you love. The kettle screamed. I turned it off and poured coffee that already tasted bitter before it cooled. The silence after the broadcast pressed hard against the walls. By mid-morning, I was on the road. The sky hung low, and the mountains were just ghosts behind the haze. Downtown Missoula looked washed-out storefronts, half-lit flags, stiff in the wind. I parked by the courthouse and walked to Whitaker & Associates, a firm I hadn't visited in years. The office smelled faintly of toner and lemon oil, the scent of things kept clean for too long. The receptionist led me to a small room where a gray-haired woman in a black blazer waited behind a stack of folders. She greeted me with a nod that carried more gravity than words. She read the letter I'd brought, eyes scanning line by line, her finger moving like a clock hand across the text. When she finally spoke, her voice was level. Your guarantee is narrow. If the 2017 facility defaults, you're responsible, but only for that, not the company's wider debts. I asked her what that meant in numbers. She closed the folder. Around 50,000, maybe less. Attorney retainer forensic signature review, temporary escrow. It's not a bribe, she said. It's time. Her tone was steady, but not unkind. Did you ever authorize anyone to sign for you? No. She nodded once. Keep every paper, every email. Don't destroy a thing. Her hand lingered on the letter as she slid it back to me. Her thumb pressed against the corner, like she wanted to hold it a moment longer. Outside, the wind had picked up. I sat in the truck before starting the engine. The courthouse dome reflected dull silver against the windshield. My reflection looked back at me, someone still deciding what silence should mean. The drive home was slow. Snow drifted across the road like smoke, erasing the lines, softening everything. I thought about Carol's handwriting on the envelope in my desk drawer, the one I hadn't opened. Her voice would have known what to say, but I didn't have that gift. The house was colder than I left it. On the porch sat a plain manila envelope, no return address, no postmark. Just wait. I carried it inside, cut the seal with my truck key, and spread the pages across the table. Photocopies, internal emails, drafts of agreements. My name typed neatly at the bottom of one page. Not signed. Just there like someone trying to borrow the shape of me. It wasn't proof of guilt, and it wasn't proof of innocence. It was sloppiness, the kind that starts fires when the wind shifts. The lamp on the table cast a gold circle over the papers. Outside, the world turned blue. I could feel the house shrinking around me. I made another cup of coffee I didn't need and stood by the window. The snow had stopped, but the cold remained sharp and honest. I thought of teaching Nathan to drive the way he gripped the wheel until his knuckles went white. I told him then that a man's word should be worth more than his signature. Maybe he'd forgotten. Maybe I had too. Night came slow. The news replayed on TV with the same tone, the same phrases. Nathan's name again caught in someone else's voice. I turned the sound down until it became just breath and static. I cleaned the table slow, folded the papers back into the folder. The lamp hummed. The house waited with me. It was almost 10 when the phone rang. The sound cut clean through the quiet. The screen glowed in the dark. Nathan. 3 winters had passed since I'd seen that name light up. I let it ring once, twice. Then I picked up. Wind on the line first, then his breathing. His voice came thin, older, a little broken around the edges. Dad. I said nothing. He cleared his throat. I need to talk. It's bad. I looked at the folder on the table. The papers stacked neatly, the edges aligned like they could hold something steady. What do you need? There was a pause. 50,000. Just to buy time. The words didn't surprise me. They landed soft, like something that had already been waiting at the door. I looked toward the window. The porch light flickered in the wind. The lamp's glow folded across the papers, warm against the cold glass. I didn't speak. The silence between us felt older than either of us could fix. Outside, the wind rose again, brushing the house like a hand against wood. The line stayed open, both of us breathing, both of us listening. The storm had finally found its way in. The phone went quiet, but the silence it left behind didn't. It clung to the room like smoke that refused to clear. I set the receiver down and stared at the wall, listening to the clock ticking above the stove. The wind outside was steady now, brushing against the cabin in slow, patient strokes. The kind that sound almost human when the night gets long. I poured the last of the coffee into a chipped mug and took a sip that had long gone cold. It tasted of rust and habit, the kind of taste that tells you you've lived here too long. His voice still echoed in my ears, soft but strained. Hey, Dad, it's been a while. 3 years is more than a while, son. That's what I'd said. He had gone quiet for a beat, then tried to steady himself, saying his firm was under pressure. A deadline, a dispute, a lawyer waiting by the phone. He needed $50,000 that night. Not tomorrow, not next week. Tonight. The number was exact, the words were not. Is this about the 2017 facility? My name's on that, I asked him. Silence filled the line like snow filling a tire track. I didn't want to pull you in, he finally said. His voice sounded like a boy calling from the far side of a bridge he'd burned himself. Truth is, I'd been pulled in long before he made the call. The moment I signed that damn document in 2017, I'd stepped across a line I couldn't erase. Come by tomorrow, I said. Face me like a man. It's Christmas. He didn't argue. Just a breath, a bit of traffic noise, then nothing. I sat there for a while, holding the quiet, the way some men hold prayer. Then I stood crossed the room and walked into the workshop. The air in there was colder, sharper. It smelled of sawdust oil and winters that had already passed through. On the workbench, I cleared a small space among the tools and dust. Then I laid out 3 things. Envelope. A check for $50,000 already voided at the bank, inked, stamped useless. Envelope B. Carol's letter still sealed her name, written in the calm handwriting of a woman who believed words could still heal. And beside them, the stack of 2017 loan papers, along with those anonymous photocopies, the ones that carried my typed name in places it didn't belong. I lit Carol's old oil lamp, the one she used to keep by the bed when the power went out. The glass chimney was smudged, but the light that rose through it was warm and steady. When she was alive, Carol always said, "Truth doesn't hide, it waits." Back then, I'd laughed it off, told her, truth has a way of dying in the dark if no one speaks it. Now, as that light flickered across the papers, I wasn't so sure. I sat on the old stool and unfolded the check, the sound of paper cutting through the stillness. My hand hesitated over her envelope. I traced her name with my thumb, feeling the indent of her pen beneath the paper. Then I set it down again. Not yet. I looked around the workshop. Every tool had its place. The vise, the hammer, the old measuring tape she'd once used to help me build her garden bench. Everything exactly where I'd left it, except her. The snow outside kept falling. The lamp's flame trembled in the draft that slipped through the doorframe. When I stepped out to the porch, the cold cut deep into my lungs. The air outside carried the faint smell of gasoline, sharp and nervous like him. Somewhere far down the road, a car engine coughed to life and faded again. I went back inside and let the door close slow behind me. The lamp hummed faintly as it burned, casting a soft circle of light across the table. I poured another cup of coffee, black and too strong, then waited. Morning came in thin light, the kind that doesn't warm anything, just reveals what's been waiting all night. Then I heard it, tires crunching over snow. Slow, careful, like someone measuring the weight of each decision before taking the next step. Headlights brushed across the frosted window and died. I stood by the door. Through the glass, I saw him. My son. His coat was too light for the cold, his shoulders drawn in against it. He looked older than 3 winters should make him, eyes darker, voice. Smaller even before he spoke. Dad. I opened the door. The cold spilled in around him, wrapping us both. "Come in," I said. He nodded once, stepped inside, and shut the door behind him. The warmth caught him off guard. He stood near the entryway, looking around like a man stepping into a memory he didn't trust. "Coffee's on the stove," I told him. He glanced toward it, but didn't move. His eyes landed on the table instead, on the envelopes, the papers, the light from the lamp, the things I'd left there on purpose. We didn't speak for a while. The air between us was full, but not heavy, like a room waiting to see what kind of silence it would become. Finally, he said, "I didn't mean for it to go this way. You never do." I answered. He nodded, jaw tight, looking down at his hands. They were trembling just enough for me to notice. The lamp's light touched both of us, the same color, the same distance. Still, it felt like standing on opposite sides of something that couldn't be crossed. The wind had gone quiet outside. Even the snow seemed to listen. The lamp hummed between us, a small sun for a broken world. The lamp was still burning low when I poured 2 cups of coffee. The snow outside had stopped, leaving a kind of silence that made the house sound older than it was. Nathan stood by the doorway, shoulders drawn, eyes tracing the room, as if searching for a version of it he still recognized. I set 1 cup down by the window on the small table where Carol used to sit every morning. That chair had outlasted the woman who filled it. The cushion still bent in the same place her weight used to be. I motioned for him to take it. He hesitated, then sat. His eyes flicked toward the chair, then the view outside, then nowhere at all. "You should eat something," I said. He shook his head. not hungry. So I sat across from him. The lamplight settled between us, soft and warm, but never enough to bridge the space that had grown over 3 winters. I went first. I co-signed because your mother believed you'd build something good. I believed her. He looked up, then down again. She believed in a lot of people, he said quietly. She did. But she didn't give them her name. His jaw tightened, a small flicker of shame. He nodded once, the kind of nod a man gives when he's too tired to argue with the truth. We were under pressure, he said. Clients, investors, timelines? You start trimming corners because everyone does. You tell yourself it's not wrong, just quick. And by the time you look back, the road's gone. He rubbed his palms together. His ring scraped against the table. Not a villain, I thought. Just a man who drifted off course. He glanced at me again. You ever done something like that? Something you knew was wrong, but told yourself it was fine. I let the question hang before I said yes. Once. He waited. I used to be a fire inspector in Helena. There was this small hardware shop, family-run, barely staying afloat. Couldn't afford all the code fixes. I let it slide. Told myself it was small. Told myself I'd come back. A winter later, it burned. Nobody died, but they lost everything. He stared. You get fired. No. Nobody found out. Carol did. She forgive you. She didn't raise her voice. She just said, I hope you never forgive yourself too soon. He breathed in, slow eyes falling toward the cup that had gone cold. She was right, I said. I never fully did. The wind picked up outside, brushing against the window. It sounded like the voice of someone still trying to say something after the room's gone empty. I walked to the counter, and brought back 2 envelopes. I set them between us. One buys you time, I said. The other might buy you back. He stared at them for a long moment. Then he reached for the first one. His fingers shook as he opened it. You didn't have to do this, Dad. I didn't. He unfolded the check slowly, the paper catching the lamplight. His lips moved, counting zeros, maybe whispering hope under his breath. That'll fix it for now, he said. I watched his hands tremble around that useless promise. Nathan, I said quietly, the check is void. The account's been closed for months. He froze, then smiled small and forced the kind a man wears when he realizes he's run out of bluff. You're kidding. No. He stared down at the paper, then back up. His mouth opened, but no words came. I told you to come here to face me, not to collect from me. The room went still. Even the heater seemed to pause. He sat back slowly, eyes fixed on the check, as if maybe the ink would rewrite itself if he stared hard enough. Then his gaze shifted to the second envelope. That one's from your mother, I said. Still sealed. He reached toward it, then stopped, resting his hand on the edge. His eyes softened, wet but steady. You knew, he said. I nodded. And you let me come all the way here for this. You came for more than money. He leaned back, arms crossed, the chair creaking. What if I'm not ready to read it? Then don't, I said. It's waited this long. He nodded, staring at the envelope like it might vanish. His hand twitched once, but he didn't move to open it. I didn't mean to ruin things, he said after a long silence. I know. Then why does it feel like you knew I would? Because some lessons come slow. He looked away, eyes unfocused. Outside, the snow started again, light at first, then thicker. The flakes pressed against the window, clinging for a second before melting away. I reached across the table and turned the lamp down low. The room dimmed until the letter's shadow fell across both our hands. Neither of us spoke. The light hummed faintly, and the snow whispered against the glass. It wasn't peace yet, but it was quiet, and sometimes that's where forgiveness begins. The snow outside had thinned by morning, the kind that makes no sound when it falls. I poured the last of the coffee into 2 mugs and set them on the table. The house smelled of cold ash and wood smoke. Nathan sat across from me, his coat draped over the chair, his eyes drawn to the sealed envelope lying between us. He hadn't touched his coffee. His fingers kept tapping the edge of the table, quiet but restless. He said, "What kind of test is this?" "The kind your mother would have wanted," I told him. He looked at the envelope again, then reached for it. His thumb traced the fold like he was testing the weight of it. When he tore it open, the sound was sharp against the quiet. The paper inside was thin, faintly yellow, the kind Carol always used for everything from grocery lists to love notes. He read in silence. Then he looked up. "It was her doing, wasn't it?" "It was," I said. "Years ago. A deal window was closing, and she sent a letter of intent with my typed name just to hold the slot. I signed the actual guarantee later. Nothing illegal. Just rushed, imperfect human." "So, all this," he said. "The calls, the bank, the audit, it's not a crime. No. It's sloppiness. Somewhere between the copies and the signatures, somebody decided close enough was good enough. That's where mistakes start." He exhaled through his teeth, staring down at the letter like it might still be a trap. "You could have told me this earlier. You weren't ready to listen earlier." He nodded once, eyes heavy. "I thought Mom did something wrong." "No. She never lied. Not even when it would have been easier." The clock ticked twice. Outside, the wind shifted the snow on the porch steps. I reached into the drawer beside me and pulled out the stack of loan papers, along with the photocopied emails from that anonymous packet. I placed them beside his coffee. "You don't need a lie, son. You need a record." He didn't look up. His voice dropped low. "If I tell the truth, I could lose everything." "No," I said. "You could finally own something your name." He sat back, breathing slow, like a man trying to stand still in a storm. His lips moved, but no words came for a moment. When he finally spoke, it was softer. "Will you stand with me? I'll stand with the truth." He nodded, eyes glassy. The lamplight caught the edge of the letter in his hand, and for a moment it looked like he was holding a flame. "You ever wish you'd lied?" he asked. "Every day. But easy's never been the same as right." He smiled faintly, a small line at the corner of his mouth that reminded me of Carol. "You think she knew this would happen? I think she knew something always would. That's why she left you the truth instead of money." He folded the letter slowly, neatly, like something alive. Then he slid it into his coat pocket, leaving the corner visible, as if he wanted to keep seeing it. He stood, pulling the coat on. "I'm going to fix this." "I know. I don't even know where to start. You start by not lying. Everything after that will find its way." He gave a small laugh. "That sounds like her." "It was her," I said. He looked around the room, the framed photos, the stove, the chair by the window. "She kept this place cleaner than I do," he said. "She kept everything cleaner than both of us." The smile came again, real this time, small but steady. He reached for his gloves, then stopped and looked at me. "You'll be okay here. I've been okay longer than you think." He reached out his hand. His grip was firm but trembling. For a second, it felt like the first time he'd ever reached for me, and I didn't pull away. "Thanks for not cashing that check," he said. "Thanks for showing up." He nodded once, then turned toward the door. The morning light leaked through the window, sharp and white. He opened the door, and the snow glare flooded in. We both blinked against it. Somewhere beyond the trees, an engine turned over. The sound was small, but it carried farther than words. He stepped outside, pulling the collar of his coat higher against the cold. The light caught the letter's edge in his pocket like a lighthouse flickering in motion. I watched him walk across the yard, each step cutting a clean mark through the snow. Straight, deliberate, no drift this time. On the glass, I saw my reflection blur into hers just for a heartbeat before the light took her away again. The coffee had gone cold. The house was quiet. And for the first time in 3 winters, the silence didn't hurt. The snow had turned thin and gray by morning, streaking along the edge of the fence. Like smoke that forgot where to go, the air smelled of thawing pine and old metal. I sat by the window with my first cup of coffee, the kind that tastes better when you drink it alone. Outside, a single crow picked at the gravel. News came in pieces. The firm paid its fines, replaced the board, and the audit closed with a sigh instead of a bang. Nathan's name appeared at the bottom of a trade email, just one line, simple and clean. Resigned, effective immediately. No statement, no plea. The kind of quiet that tells the truth louder than any headline. I didn't call him. He didn't call me. Some nights I still looked at the phone, half expecting it to light up. It never did. In town, word traveled faster than wind. At the hardware store, Earl clapped my shoulder and said, "You won, old man. I told him in decent fights nobody wins. We just stop losing." He laughed the way men laugh when they wish they understood more. Back home, the cedar skiff still sat in the shed. Half built, half forgotten. The boards dry and pale under a coat of sawdust. I ran my hand along the hull one last time, feeling the unevenness in the grain, the places I'd meant to fix, but never did. Then I sold it to a man from Kalispell, who said he'd finish it come spring. I used the money through Whitaker's office, routed by Iolta Trust, tagged as forensic hardship. No credit to Nathan. No receipt for pride. Just balance. Clean and recorded. Nights were quieter after that. The phone stopped ringing. The world, it seemed, had forgiven, or simply moved on. The only sound left was the old radio in the kitchen playing the same 3 country stations, the same static between songs. Sometimes I took out the loan papers, the copy, with my signature pressed faint in the paper. I'd trace the ink with my thumb, feeling the indentation like an old scar. Then I'd drop it into a coffee can on the porch and strike a match. The flame rose slow and sure, curling the edges until the words disappeared. I told the wind I'm burning the part that belonged to my guilt. The rest can stay with the court. The neighbors saw the smoke once or twice, but never asked. Around here, a man's fire is his own business. Weeks passed. Nathan's lawyer sent updates, short notes. No sentiment. Legal closeouts, document logs, clean endings written in dry type. But beneath it all, I could feel a quiet sort of decency building again, like frost receding from glass. On Sunday, I drove to the cemetery. The road curved past frozen fields, the sky wide and pale. Carol's grave waited under the pines, lavender sprouting weak but stubborn through the thaw. I brushed the snow off her name and set a new bunch in the vase. "It's handled, Carol," I said. The wind stilled for a moment, as if the world had heard me. Driving back, I saw a hawk perched on the fence line, wings folded, watching the road. It didn't move when I passed. Just turned its head slightly calm and sure. There was a kind of steadiness in that stillness I wished I had learned earlier in life. Back home, I set the kettle on. The house smelled faintly of pine sap and burnt paper. The clock ticked its slow, stubborn rhythm. I let it. When the kettle began to hum, I saw something on the porch, a brown parcel damp at the corners, no return label. The handwriting was careful but uneven, like someone trying to keep their hand from shaking. I brought it inside and set it on the table. The paper left a faint, wet ring on the wood. The sound of the radio drifted from the kitchen static, then an old George Jones song about loss that never quite fades. For a moment I just stared at the package. The kettle began to whistle. Then I noticed the writing again. For a second I thought the letters looked like hers, the loops of the C, the tilt of the M. But Carol had been gone 7 years. I turned off the stove. Steam curled up and vanished into the still air. The parcel sat where I left it, brown and patient. Whatever it carried could wait a little longer. Outside, snow began again, soft and uncertain, drifting past the window, like the world wasn't sure what season it wanted to be. I sat there listening to the silence hum around the house. Sometimes the price of a clean name isn't what you lose. It's the quiet you have to learn to live with afterward. The kettle clicked as it cooled. The radio faded back to static. And somewhere beneath the hum of it all, I thought I heard her voice again, low, steady, the way she used to say my name when she wanted me to look up. I looked up. The parcel didn't move. But I knew something inside it was about to change everything again. Morning came quiet, soft gray, spilling across the table, where the brown parcel still waited. The paper had dried overnight, its edges curled like bark. The handwriting looked steadier in daylight, as if whoever wrote it had found peace after sending it. I poured coffee first, the smell filling the kitchen the way familiar things do slow grounding. When the steam settled, I opened the box. Inside was a folder, neatly clipped. The forensic report stamped and sealed, clearing my name and Carol's intent. Each page clean numbers, aligned initials in place. Beneath it, a photograph. Nathan in a hard hat, standing beside a man in a fire department jacket, the porch behind them half rebuilt. Both were smiling that worn kind of smile that comes after hard work and honesty. A note rested on top. Dad. I couldn't rebuild my company. I'm rebuilding homes and myself. Thank you for standing with the truth. I read it twice. The words weren't much, but they were straight. The kind a man writes when he's stopped running. I folded the note carefully, the way you might close a small wound, and left it on the table beside my cup. The radio murmured in the background, an old Willie Nelson tune, stretching thin through the static. Outside, the wind moved through the pines, softer than before. I walked to the living room and pulled open the drawer under the shelf. The family photo was still there. The glass clouded the frame, cold to touch. Carol's eyes caught mid-laughter. Nathan tall and proud, my arm resting behind them both. I wiped the glass clean with my sleeve and hung it back on the wall where it used to be. The nail still fit. The wall felt right again. As evening fell, I brought out Carol's oil lamp from the cabinet. The brass was dull, but the wick trimmed smooth. I filled it, struck a match, and let the flame catch. The light flared, then softened into a steady glow. I carried it to the porch and set it beside the railing, the same spot she used to keep it when waiting for Nathan to come home from school. The air smelled of pine and cold earth. Inside, I poured 2 coffees. One for me, one for the chair by the window. Steam lifted from both cups and met in the middle like breath shared in silence. We did all right, I said quietly, my voice sounding almost like hers in the empty room. The chair stayed where it always had angled toward the light. I sat across from it and watched the last bit of daylight fade. Later, I stepped out to the porch again. The lamp burned steady, throwing a golden circle against the snow. Out by the pines, a figure stood at the edge of the road, shoulders slightly forward, hands in his coat pockets. He looked toward the house for a while. The wind lifted his collar. Then he turned slow and sure and walked down the road until the trees took him. I didn't call out. For a second, though, I saw the boy he once was, helmet too big for his head, wobbling on a bike, turning to wave before pedaling away. In a country this wide, silence can be the kindest coat we have to offer. I went back inside and turned off the house lights, but left hers burning on the porch. The glow slipped through the glass, brushing against the photo on the wall, the one we'd finally put back where it belonged. The room was quiet, except for the clock. I sat again, the cup still warm between my hands. Some fires destroy. Others teach us how to start over. Outside, the lamp flickered once, then steadied against the wind. Somewhere beyond the pines, a truck engine started slow, steady fading into distance. I watched until the sound was gone, until the flame on the porch became the only light left moving. The world kept turning, and so did I.